3, 2, 1.
They want us scared and alone. Too bad.
Because we got cats!
This country, via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made.
Mess with the cats, get the claws. You know what I'm saying? Cat ladies, anybody who cares about democracy, we're not going back.
The humans are getting together for Kamala Harris. Well, I hope they don't leave those pets out. I'm gonna make sure the cat ladies know. I'm gonna go tell them right now. Look at these boxes.
If he had been even just slightly less of a total
Cat ladies for Kamala might not exist.
then we wouldn't have raised $400,000 for the Harris Walls campaign.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Your couch is my battleground. Scratch it up with furious sound.
What day is it today? It's Saturday.
Your couch is my battleground. Scratch it up with furious sound. Yeah, 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 yeah. You say no. I am the I am the terror of the night. Claws like knives and eyes so bright. Your couch is my
Claws out.
furious sound. Yeah, 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 yeah. You say no.
Hello, kitty cats. Happy Cat Lady today, and welcome to Cat-Lady-Palooza with Cat Ladies for America. Meow, claws out. I want to give a warm welcome to all of you joining us, cat ladies, cat daddies, cat folks and allies, and of course, the cats themselves, who may be watching from the comfort of your lap, or perhaps they're sitting on your keyboard. My name is Gemma Smith, and I'll be your host tonight, or rather your histress of ceremonies. By day, I work in animal welfare, and by night, I host the Cat Beret, New York City's cat-themed variety show. I also host a podcast about creatives and their cats, so I'm positively thrilled to be here with all of you and Cat Ladies for America. Before we pounce into tonight's lineup, I love the cat puns. I'd love to get a sense of who's joining us tonight and learn a little bit about all of you. So take a moment, drop your cat's name in the chat and where you're joining us from. And I'll go first. I'm joined by my kitties, Lion-O and Luna from Brooklyn, New York. Let's see. I see some folks from Virginia Beach, Virginia, New Zealand. We've got Eloise and Bloom in Washington, D.C. Duck from Northern New Jersey. We've got a little kitty named Pearl from Minnesota. Zion and Phoenix from Denver, Colorado. Keep them coming. I love these cat names. 3 cats. Yes. Fabulous. So make sure to interact in the comments tonight because you're part of this community. And we've really gotten a meowsing lineup tonight. I'm personally so excited to learn, feel inspired, and take something meaningful away from tonight's discussion. So let's dive into it. We know all the wily ways cats scratch back when they don't like what's happening to them. Hey, we've got the scars to prove it. Tonight, we've gathered experts who are doing real-world resistance work on the ground across the country. They're fighting the legal fights, they're supporting their neighbors through mutual aid and community building, and they're clawing back against ICE and the thugs who have invaded our cities. And because joy truly is resistance, they're using their humor and cattiness as weapons. These experts are divided into 4 panels: legal, action, ICE, and cattiness. Each will last around 15 minutes. And these panels are the start of a conversation, not the end. And Cat-Lady-Palooza isn't just about tonight. We're going to be having ongoing in-depth conversations, educating and executing actions with an array of partners on a new weekly podcast, Catty Chats. Also, you can join us on future live stream events and in our local chapters. Also, in the coming days, we'll send you action items and ideas, some national, some local, inspired by suggestions from tonight's speakers. You can sign up for free at Cat Ladies Action Cat List at the QR code on your screen or at CATLadiesForAmerica.com. Cat Ladies for America has 25 chapters across the country of cat ladies, cat daddies, and cat folks just like you who are taking big and small actions and building community. These chapters are the core of the Cat Ladies for America's work. And if you're interested in joining a chapter near you, you can also go to CATLadiesForAmerica.com or click that QR code on your screen. We're so excited that all of you are joining us here tonight. All right, lastly, Cat-Lady-Palooza and Cat Ladies for America. Can you believe it? It's run entirely by volunteers, caffeine, and rage. But the basic tools we use to organize and take action come at a cost. For those who are able, we gratefully accept donations to support this work. You can also buy, oh my goodness, kitty cats, so cute, exclusive Cat-Lady-Palooza merch with our sweet logo designed by Kilkenny Cat Art. You can go to CATLadiesForAmerica.com to learn more about what we do to donate and to shop that merch. Okay, now, let's get zooming. Cat Ladies for America founder Blair Postman will moderate our panels. And first up is legal. We'll discuss First Amendment, civil rights, and voting rights issues that are front of mind with New York City Public Defender Eliza Orlins, civil rights attorney Mohini Tangri, and ACLU or Maryland voting rights and Maryland voting rights attorney Dara Johnson. So, take it away, Blair.
Hey everybody, how are you? And welcome to Cat-Lady-Palooza. We're so excited to have you. Thank you so much to Gemma. I'm super excited to have our panelists. Let's bring them up onto the stage. Eliza Orlins, Mohini Tangri, and Dara Johnson. Give them a big round of applause in the chat, please, for sharing their expertise with us tonight. Hello, folks. And can we have Dara unmute herself? Technology is flawless and works perfectly every single time. And here we go. Let's see if we can. Dara is having a little bit of a tech issue, I think, so we're going to have her, but she's going to be going last on our panel, so that's just fine. Everybody, please, we're going to be talking tonight at a high level about a lot of important things. This is not a full conversation. This is the start of the conversation to give you some important information, give you some resources and where to go and what to do next. So if it's okay with you, Eliza, I'd like to start with you first. How are you doing?
Of course, I'm happy to be here with you and with everyone tonight. I've been following the comments, and we have so many great folks from all over the place with us tonight.
That's so great. And thank you for being here. And so we're going to focus, you've been a public defender for so many years in New York City. You have a whole wide breadth of expertise, but tonight we're going to ask you to speak on First Amendment law, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. And I just wanted to start at first, there are so many, but what are one or two rights that you find in that sphere that are particularly under, attack right now?
Well, I think what we're currently seeing is basically that this administration is trying to intimidate people. They're trying to use the threat of prosecution to infringe on people's right to speak out, not just individual citizens, but also reporters. And, we've seen them threaten federal prosecution in order to shut people up, to intimidate people, to try to say that we don't want you to say things that are critical of this administration. And, even if the prosecutions don't ultimately pan out, the chilling effect is the point. So it's incredibly scary. And, I think it's really important that we call this stuff out, because this is how authoritarians operate. They try to suppress speech. And so that's why I talk a lot about the First Amendment.
And Mohini, if I could go to you next, same question. You are working, you have a wide breadth of expertise as well, but you've been working a lot in civil rights, particularly vis-a-vis all things having to do with ICE. So, and I know you've been on the ground in Minneapolis a lot, and you've been helping a lot of folks. What are one or two rights under threat right now among the many when it comes to ICE?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest threat is that ICE is able to go after anyone regardless of their immigration status. So the whole separation that the current law creates between those who are citizens and those who are not, it's a really messed up system as it is. But it seems that there is no separation at this point. They can come up with ideas to go after whoever they would like. And as Eliza was saying, that's one of the worst things that can happen when you are trying to protect against an authoritarian regime. So that in particular worries me, the due process, the probable cause of going after individuals who, just based on the color of their skin. One of the rulings from last year that came directly from the Supreme Court in, I believe it was one of the cases out of LA, saying that it is permissible for ICE to consider someone's race or where they're working in order to determine whether or not, they will go after that person. That was extremely scary. So we really need to keep our eyes out.
The Kavanaugh stop, I think they're calling that rule now, right? Right. Cute. Thank you so much, Mohini. And Dara, thank you so much. I'm so glad we got our tech worked out. Like I said before, technology is never flawless. I'm going to ask you the same question. Now, you're coming to us with a particular expertise in voting rights. And I'm wondering if you could briefly tell us one or two of among the many of the top rights that you see at the ACLU being under attack right now vis-a-vis voting rights.
Well, yes. So as you said, it's being attacked from a lot of different ways, where we see through the courts, we see through state and federal government, we see through so many different ways. I would say, in particularly as it applies here in Maryland, when it comes to the Supreme Court challenges that are currently pending, there are two very important cases. One is Kelly, and one is Watson versus RNC. And those cases really touch on two things, which is the ability to access the ballot, but also the power that your vote carries. So in addition to the general issue of being able to vote, there's, how people are able to vote and whether their vote carries the same weight. And those are definitely two decisions that are really set to change the course of what's needed on the ground, both at the federal level, but also in particular at the state level.
Thank you all so much. Now, with that in mind, we know we're under attack, right? So let's go back to you, Eliza, and say, all right, they're trying to attack us. What are one or two of the rights that people really need to make sure that they stick to, that they assert, right? That they assert, even if the administration, even if somebody is lying to them, even if someone's trying to convince them that those rights don't count anymore?
Well, I mean, I think it's incredibly important that people know their rights. I do breakdowns like this all the time, because the best way you can empower yourself is to understand what rights you have and to use those rights. For example, you have the right to remain silent, and you need to use it. You need to shut the F up. Excuse me, I'm not going to curse on the live stream, but seriously,
it's fine with me. But
you don't have to open your door. You don't have to answer questions. When it comes to ICE, as to where you were born or how you got here. This isn't legal advice. This is the Constitution, and you don't have to answer questions. You should ask for a lawyer. You should invoke your right to remain silent. And so that is something that I would just want everyone to know at all times.
And when it comes to sort of free speech, free press, a lot of people are sort of afraid to put things on Instagram now. They're afraid they're going to get stopped at the airport. Is there anything in that sphere that people should really stick to knowing that they're in the right place when someone tries to get them to not assert their rights?
Well, in terms of advice for what can be done to you when you're entering the country, if you are coming through customs or immigration, unfortunately, the your rights are much more limited. And so it's hard to get through all of the nuances of that in a very brief amount of time. But I do think that those who have the privilege to do so, this is why you'll see me out there using my full government name, face forward, saying the things that I'm saying about this administration, because when they are coming for white women who are lawyers, who are US citizens, then we're really in trouble. But I think, if you have the privilege to do so, it's really important to continue calling out this administration using your First Amendment rights. And you also have the right to film ICE. You have the right to film law enforcement on public streets. You can't obstruct, but you have the right to film them.
Thank you so much. And Mohini, going to you, same question in the realm, and a lot of these issues overlap a bit, but in the realm of interacting with ICE, whether as someone who they might be trying to detain or someone who is protesting or witnessing, what sort of one or two rights that people need to make sure that they are asserting and so they don't get diminished?
Yeah, I was going to talk about the right to record. I think that is so important because that's one of the best pieces of evidence that we can use when we ultimately try to hold ICE accountable in the court system. If you have the recording, if you have the audio, then it's a lot easier to show what ICE has done. I actually think that is the number one, to be honest. And again, as Eliza was saying, can't obstruct, but it is something you are absolutely allowed to do.
Right. They would love for people to not assert that right, because then there all the lies that Kristi Noem and I'm sure soon Mark Wayne Mullen have told us about what has happened and who was a violent protester and so forth. We wouldn't have the evidence to prove them wrong, and sometimes with really tragic outcomes. So that makes a lot of sense. What about you, Dara? What are some one or two of the voting rights issues that we need to make sure we assert, even when they try to convince us that we shouldn't or we can't?
Well, at the most basic level, to vote. That is the one, to show up at the polls and to vote, whether it's in the primaries coming up in June or later on in November, to show up at the polls and not let misinformation dictate, what you as a voter are going to trust as what is available, because unfortunately deception is a part of voter suppression. And there are, whether it is directly information being seeded or at a higher level with lawsuits being brought, where that fear of retaliation can really come in to try to deter people from coming to the ballot box, to not let that stop you, because you do have a right to vote. You have a right to exercise that decision-making power and show up. I'd say that's the main thing.
Yeah, there will be shenanigans, and we don't have time to go into in depth here, but you should be following folks like Dara, the ACLU of Maryland, the ACL nationally, or wherever your state is, especially your state ACLU when it comes to voting rights, because every state has different nuances about their voting rights that are legal, but you really need to know about. We saw some issues in the elections in Texas, didn't we, not too long ago, about them changing polling places. And so you really want to follow really reputable, any of these folks are reputable, but when it comes to the nuances of your state voting laws, an ACLU of whatever state you live in is a great organization to follow, so you can be up to the minute about everything you need to know in order to vote successfully. Shouldn't be this hard, but this is the world we live in, right? We got to turn out like they did in Hungary. So going back to you, Eliza, what are one or two ways that people could be fighting back right now? And it may not be a lawsuit, it may be something else, but when it comes to defending our legal rights, whether it's the First Amendment or something else that's important to you.
Well, I think that, I post a lot of actions, like things that you can do, constantly giving people action items, because I do think that is how you maintain hope. Mariama Kaba, my favorite abolitionist, always says hope is a discipline. And the way that we maintain hope is by taking small actions in our communities or doing things that make us feel as though we're part of this process. So, whether it's the most recent one we were doing is like, email your governor, because still 46 states, your governor is sharing your personal DMV data with ICE, unless you are in one of 4 states that are not doing that. But, the reality is so many of us are doing that. And then we can also, boycott companies that are doing things like participating in this administration, cancel your ChatGPT subscription if you have a paid subscription to ChatGPT, because they are participating in massive surveillance of people. So, taking those actions is really important. And so, make sure that you are following people who give you action items, make sure you're calling your representative and getting involved in the political process.
And just so everyone who's watching this live or later on a rewind, if you part of this event is that we're going to be collecting these ideas from all of our wonderful panelists, and we're going to be creating action items inspired by them, and perhaps with something that they're already doing, and putting that out through our action cat list, our subscription list. It's free. It just lets us send you different actions you can take, like, for example, writing your governor, which is not something everybody always thinks of. They often think of their congressperson or their city council, but not necessarily their governor. Mohini, what's something that you in particular would wish people might take as an action, perhaps vis-a-vis ICE? And it need not even be, like I said, a lawsuit.
I mean, I guess the first thing is a lawsuit, because I'm
That's fine. It could be a lawsuit. You're a lawyer.
Yeah. So we are currently putting together lawsuits against ICE. So I'm going to be putting this onto my social media platform, information about how you can send us evidence, how you can send our information to anyone who you think might benefit from legal advice, or otherwise needs help with an encounter that they might have had with ICE. We are happy to help with that. But other than that, I think one of the most important things is actually having conversations with people who are close to you. I know it's very polarized, and it's very difficult to have conversations with people who, especially in the past, you might have been close to, but now, because of the way that things have fallen in terms of the political divide, you may not talk to as often. But what I have found is that people who care a lot about you, who maybe you haven't checked in with in a while, and they're on the other side of the political divide, they care about hearing your opinion. And of course, you have to have that dialogue constructively and respectfully. Can't really do the social media method in that way, just because social media is not real life. But I have had several people come to me and say, hey, I would really love your opinion on what's happening on the ground. You've seen this. I'm not seeing any of that on my social media. My entire worldview is different because I am being told a different time. I'm living in a different timeline.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things is to have those conversations.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's why we have chapters in real life. We do need to be in real life. And Dara, what would you say? What's something that you would wish, whether or not it's legal, that people would do that would help protect their legal rights?
I think just following up on what Mohi just so eloquently said, with connecting with your community, because that is what enables a lawsuit. That's what enables legislative action, is where people are coming together and talking about what they're experiencing, not letting it go, not accepting it as, what it just has to be. And just to give an example of how that change of just taking a simple action of reaching out, whether it's to someone who might also be interested in, taking some type of action, or an organization like those represented here, where through that simple act, that can bring about so much change. And just to give a quick example, we just passed the Maryland Voting Rights Act here, and a lot of that, yes, we're so excited, definitely a needed protection against, what I mentioned earlier with the threat from the Supreme Court cases currently pending. But what enabled that was people who over decades have had courage in going even under the federal law, which has been weak for a while now, taking that action where, for instance, in a small town, Federalsburg here, where for 200 years there was an all-white government, despite the fact that Black people made up the majority of the population there. And it wasn't until 7 women came and said, okay, we're just not going to be discouraged any longer, that change was able to come and really drive that larger change that we're seeing in the state. So just not to doubt the power that's in you, and to be sure to connect with others so that it can grow.
And that is wonderful. Thank you. This is not a quick question, but I'm going to pull it up because we have about 2 minutes, and I'm going to show it on the screen here. Somebody is asking here, if you are challenged by ICE and intimidated, they're trying to tell you that you don't have the right to be, say, silent or let them in their house. This is not legal advice, but just in your opinion or experience, do you have any tips? And if you're not comfortable giving that tip, that's okay too. Mohini, do you want to take a shot at that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can keep in mind your rights. And of course, so I am just describing rights, not directly legal advice here. But if something like this happens, you have the right to, again, record. You have the right to tell them what your rights are, which is that I have a right to stay silent. I have a right to stay in my house. I don't have to allow you into my house without a judge-signed warrant, which sometimes ICE will try to present a warrant that is not judge-signed. That it's an administrative warrant, so keep an eye out for that. Honestly, try not to escalate the situation, I will say, because we've seen how some of the people who are working for ICE will take the smallest things as escalation just for safety purposes, but you can always say what you have the right to do and stand by that. And please record it.
We've obviously only scratched the surface of all these really important, and you guys are such wonderful, knowledgeable people about the law and also great communicators. So after this, you can go to CATLadiesForAmerica.com and you can get links to all of their social media. We're also beginning to have the links to their websites up there where appropriate. And we really encourage you to follow these people to learn more about all these things that we are really only scratching the surface about tonight, so that they can help you as the weeks and months go by, sort of incorporate all of this into your action building, into your local networks, and taking care of the people where you live. Folks, I could talk to every single person on this who's going to be on tonight for like 2 hours, but we don't have that kind of time. And thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for everything that you have been doing. And I'm going to kick it back over to Gemma for our next segment with a little bit of fun too.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
So nice to be on a panel with so many brilliant women.
Thank you so much to Blair and all of our meowsing legal experts. I'm already feeling the inspiration to do more for my community. And now we're going to talk about all of the wonderful chapters across the country for Cat Ladies of America. So Cat Ladies for America started building out chapters just 1 year ago. Can you believe it? And now there are 25. And these chapters function as a network, and they share training and resources. Each chapter is given tools, and they can build as slowly or as fast as they want and really focus on actions and partnerships. And it's really awesome because the headquarters provides all these tools and resources for chapters to use, things like Mobilize, Action Network, and Zoom. But there are no fees, no dues to start a chapter. So if you are listening to this and you are living somewhere and there is a chapter near you, please go to the QR code, find out more, join a chapter, or if you'd like to start one, reach out to Cat Ladies for America as well. And you could also be an online focused action cat. So there are plenty of options for you to get involved. And kitty cats, I'm super excited because there are chapter watch parties going on across the country, and we're going to check in and say hi. First up, we're going to check in with Inland Empire chapter in California. Hi, y'all.
Hi, everyone say hi. Can you see us? We're having a great time. Can you hear us?
We hear you. So tell us a little bit about what's going on there. Just all gathered?
Yes, we're here at Strum Brewery in Ontario, California, and we're just having a great time. We have some real life cats in the background. I don't know if you could see them. From Act to Rescue. They're an awesome rescue out of Riverside, California. So we're just having a great time listening to all the speakers.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Meow, claws out.
Claws out.
All right, thank you. Let's now check in. Let's go to the Salt Lake City chapter.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we love you, Salt Lake City. You're great. Chapter.
Hi, say hi, introduce yourselves.
Claws out.
No, wait, really?
Claws out.
Hi, introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Lollipop. I'm Janine. I'm Lauren.
Fantastic.
Ruth over here.
Oh, fantastic. Meow. Thank you all for joining us. I think there was a little echo, but there was lots of excitement. And lastly, we're tuning into Minneapolis, and we're going to meet Rachel.
Hi, we're here at Cats and Coffee in St. Paul in the Twin Cities. They were a big part of helping out with mutual aid and the community during Metro Surge, and we're here with their cats, and we're really excited.
We're excited to have you. Thank you all for being part of Cat Ladies for America and joining us tonight. Claws out.
Claws out.
All right, kitty cats. That's what I call my listeners at the Cat Beret. I can't help myself. So we're now going to go into our next panel. Now that we've met some of our members, we're gonna learn more. Blair's gonna come back, and we're gonna talk to Zachary Mallory, the co-founder of Rise Above Justice Movement. We're also joined by Ann Lehman, coordinator of Minneapolis Mutual Aid Hub, the Smitten Kitten. And we've got Kevin Wheeler, the co-founder of Necessary Means ICE Education and Mutual Aid Group, Baltimore. So take it away, Blair.
Hey, folks. Well, let's bring our amazing panelists up. Zachary from Rise Above Justice. DeRay Bell is also joining us. We got a nice little last-minute addition from Necessary Means in Baltimore and from Smitten Kitten. I don't know if we have Zachary just yet, but we will see. Oh, here he is. There they are. Hello. All right, folks. Well, thank you. Everyone, just say a quick hello. How are you? Little wave. We're getting Zachary's getting a camera. Like I said, this technology.
Hey, everybody.
Fails. It's only been 6 years since the COVID, and we still all have trouble with it. So everybody, we're going to start here with everybody's going to get the same question, and I'm going to start with you, Ann, if that's okay.
Sure.
How has your organization, Smitten Kittens, work evolved in the last 3 to 6 months?
Ooh, so on a regular basis at Smitten Kitten, we're an adult store. So we are helping people with their like personal, private, sensitive matters. But then we start watching our neighbors be kidnapped like right outside our doors. And we were like, we need to supercharge the way that we hold people's personal, private information and help them make informed decisions on it. So by that, we mean making sure people have their basic resources met, making sure people got whistles, making sure that you can plug into a chat so you know what's going on in your neighborhood as they're rolling through. We've also really just like, Smitten Kitten as a business is 22 years old, and there's been a lot that we all do over the years to like gain this trust with people. But yeah, we turned into a mutual aid hub by having people bring donations, and eventually that turned into people bringing cash so that we could help keep people safe in their homes as ICE is infiltrating our city. It was like an infestation. Yeah, so we're just still going with that and selling adult toys at the same time.
Right. Because we still need joy.
Yeah.
What are we fighting for? Zachary, hello. Glad to have you, my friend. Now, you do a lot, not just in person, but a lot of virtual sort of network and community building. How has the work you do and the networks you build to support evolved over the last 3 or 6 months? Oh, I think Zachary's still having a problem. So we're going to, same question to Kevin and DeRay. Can you tell us what Necessary Means, how the work you've been doing, how that's evolved maybe over the last 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, you want to go, DeRay?
Yeah, sure. Peace, everyone. Thanks for having us. I would say that a lot of our work was focused around mutual aid, just making sure that, people in Baltimore have their basic needs met, a good meal, something good to eat. And I'll say since things kind of broke out, we kind of pivoted to focusing on making sure that Black folks understand that this issue is our issue as well. So that's a really, really big thing that we've kind of pivoted to right now. And, so I would say that's how things have, that's something that we've always cared about, but we want to get everybody around us to care too.
Thank you so much. And Zachary, are you good? All right, can you hear me now? I know it's like flawless every time. Zachary, I'll ask you the same question. How has Rise Above Justice movements network building, which a lot of which is not in person, a lot of it's online, how has that evolved the work you do over the last 3 to 6 months?
Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin, but I am excited to see Smitten Kitten. I used to live in Minneapolis, so I visited your shop like once or twice, and it was always a really good experience. So I'm so excited to continue uplifting the work that you guys are doing, because honestly, it does take all of us to fight back against this fascist regime. But I would have to say, you know, we've been collaborating with content creators across the country. We launched our podcast where we're interviewing progressive candidates that are running at all levels of government, because every single election absolutely matters. And one of the things that we've been really hitting hard is obviously amplifying the Epstein survivors. You know, I host our podcast, and I've sat down and talked to 2 of the Jeffrey Epstein survivors, which if anybody's been watching, you know that Pam Bondi is absolutely complicit. Despite being subpoenaed by Congress, she still is continuing to silence these survivors. In regards to the ICE raids, you know, we've been amplifying a lot of the work. We've been amplifying, you know, what Smitten Kitten's doing, and some of the on-the-ground organizers, you know, on the ground in Minneapolis and in Chicago. But honestly, people that are in the comments sections don't understand the right to due process. You know, the right to due process is guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, the 5th and the 14th Amendment. They don't really talk about that, right? So a lot of people don't understand that that's a basic human right that all of us have access to, and it's an absolute human right. But I would say, you know, we are going to continue doing this work. I'm not a paid protester. I'm not a paid volunteer. I literally do this because
none of us are getting paid.
I'm still waiting on my compensation from the No Kings rallies, damn it. But, you know, we're just going to continue amplifying. We have this platform. We want to use it for the good. So I'm so grateful to be here amongst all these incredible human beings.
Thank you, Zachary. Now I'm going to go back to Anne. And again, this is, you know, big picture. We encourage everybody to visit the social media and websites of Smitten Kitten, Necessary Means, Rise Above Justice movement, to get involved with the kinds of work they do, you know, in an ongoing way, or start something similar maybe where you live, or with an organization near where you live. But Anne, so what are the most pressing needs now for the people who you serve, the community you're trying to help?
Money, 1,000%. It's hard to keep raising funds after media attention goes away. And if you thought all of that was terrible, it's like 10 times worse now. So when you think about
people, it's worse than what
we
were saying. It's worse than what people, I want to hit that
everyone
really hard here.
Already, the money we raised at the height of things is gone. People have been selling their cars, like selling valuables. I know someone whose kid straight up sold his bed to help his mom pay for groceries right now. So if you thought that food instability, housing instability, any of those core human rights were struggling or in jeopardy, they are times 10 now. And we're just really trying to go hard with like creative fundraising and getting the word out there that things are not different. ICE is still showing up at people's court appointments, at doctor's appointments, etc. Shit ain't changed. It got so much worse, and it is our job, especially as white people, to undo this mess that we created, I think. And I could talk about this for 16 hours. But
one day you and I will talk about this for 16 hours. But and I just want to point out to people, just make sure that you absorb this. They changed the structure and the look of what was going on, but they have not changed what they are doing in Minneapolis. They want you to believe it has stopped. Please understand that it has not.
Yeah.
And they are in even more need of money and services to help people because the big media blitz has left. And so the donations, understandably, everyone has a life to live, but the donations have massively slowed down. And so if you go to Smitten Kitten MN on Instagram, for example, or you just Google Smitten Kitten Minneapolis, you can go to your website and they have all kinds of links where you can donate. And they've been doing this work there for 20 years. And Kevin and DeRay, over to you. So in Baltimore, which is where I live, so what are some of the most pressing needs that you have found for the community that you serve right now, whether it's ICE or something else?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest needs is just information and information, like true information. The one thing that this administration and its cronies have done really well is divide communities. And what we at Necessary Means have really focused ourselves in on is providing real, true information from experts, and also a way to actually use the information that's given. So we worked with CASA, We Are CASA, in order to get a law passed that will keep local law enforcement from being deputized by ICE agents. So they cannot help ICE agents abduct citizens. And we also put on a town hall where we had information given from two experts, Bill Fletcher Jr. And Davon Love from Leader of the Beautiful Struggle, who was really instrumental in making sure that law was passed. Speak to Black folk in Baltimore about why this is an issue that affects everyone, but especially people of color, especially Black people. And I think also we, like folks Ann said from Smitten Kitten, we need money, and I think DeRay can probably talk a little bit more about our fundraising efforts.
DeRay, what are you up to there quickly? Where can people help?
So honestly, things are a little difficult, right? Because we have a fiscal sponsor and we put out a zine that specifically, tells you exactly what to do. It's a guide for Black folks. It's available all over Red Emma's, Beat Boxes, and you can certainly get a copy of that zine if you email us. But there's some issues there, right? Because they're like, oh, it's political. So things have been a bit
living is
difficult.
political.
That's what I said. Every day that I wake up and take a breath, it's political. But so it's a little hard to get us funds, but it would be great if people just stay tuned with us, as far as our Instagram. And we actually do have some fundraising efforts coming soon. Saturday at Red Emma's, we have an event upcoming, and we got some really, really cool hand printed bags and shirts coming out. So,
and it's really on the ground stuff. So you're not just appealing to, and social media is great. We're on social media, but you're finding a way to connect to people who that's just not their bag. And that's not how you're going to, not everybody connects that way.
Yeah. It's not even our bag, really.
Right.
Yeah. We're
Right. Baby, we're all in the, you know what? That's an offline. It's a whole, it's a trap. But here we all are. But yeah. And so Zachary, going over to you, what are some ways that, pressing needs for the community that you serve?
Where to even begin? I'm watching Ann, I'm watching your reactions, and it's like, I'm in such solidarity, because mainstream media does not like to amplify our voices. They are paid, they're bought for, and it's controlled, and it's like those little puppets, right? And as somebody who has friends that live in Minneapolis still, and I can attest, this shit is still going on. It's just not in the headlines anymore, and that makes it even more worse now than it ever has been. And I check in with people every now and then just to see how they're doing. And they're like, you know what? Different strategy, same fascism. And it just looks different now. And it's wrapped in red, white, and blue. And, it's like wrapped in a bow and it's called pretty, right? But I would have to say, just amplifying survivor voices right now. We saw what recently happened with now former Congressman Eric Swalwell. But just thinking about everything else that's going on with the Epstein files, right? The Epstein files is a really deep topic right now. And, I say this as a founder of this national movement that's grassroots, right? We created our podcast, and we're amplifying the voices of survivors, but people that are also doing the work. And obviously you have an invite, and DeRay and Kevin, you also have an invite to come talk about what you guys are doing, because we like to amplify the voices that the mainstream media refuses to do. And we do it in a non-edited way that actually tells the absolute truth and doesn't cut out that middle part, or, you know, like the meat and potatoes of that conversation, right? Because I believe in the raw, unedited conversation, because that's how these are the conversations we need to be having. We do not need it, you know, watered down. Our students get that enough in schools. We need to know exactly what's actually happening on the ground. And I highly recommend anybody out there, please follow these organizations, donate to these mutual aids, because we protect us. We do not have a government that is going to protect us at this very moment. We need to take care of each other, and we need to protect each other at all costs. We are all we have right now. We need to come together, which is why I'm grateful for spaces like this to amplify those needs.
Thank you, Zachary. And you sort of just answered my next question. So I'm going to I'll go backwards here. I'll go to Kevin and DeRay first. Suggestions of how people might build a mutual aid network like the one you have, or connect to one near them. What should they be looking in? You know, we've got just a couple minutes. What should they be looking in if they want to support a mutual aid network like yours, or even begin thinking about starting one?
Yeah, I mean, I think like for ours, one of the best ways to support is, one, if you're in the Baltimore area, is this Saturday, we're going to have an event where we're going to be able to sell you at your own printed bag or T-shirt. You bring the materials, we print it for you, and all that money is going to go towards us printing more zines, as well as us getting the word out to have more trainings for Black folks in the area to know their rights, as well as how to organize and how to defend ourselves against this threat. As far as like how to create mutual aid, I mean, I think one of the best ways to do it is to come to another event like ours, because there's going to be other people there. And I think just kind of get started. I think what Smitten Kitten has done is pretty incredible. About they just saw the need and they were able to provide whatever service that they could. And I think that's the same thing that we've done. And I know DeRay can speak a lot better about that than I can. She was instrumental in that.
Yeah, I'd say as far as getting started, the easiest way to get started is to find people like you that are already doing it. You know, it's not necessarily a need to reinvent the wheel. We all know we're not people who are getting paid to do this. There's probably someone already doing it, or, you know, there's probably there's someone who's done it. So, you know, knowing a little bit about your history helps as well. You're not alone in doing this. So I think that the best way is to find those people and find those groups nearby and, you know, get connected with them. Start there.
Get out in real life. Google a thing and get out in real life. It sounds like too is a big part of it, is what you're saying too. And then Anne, in the last couple minutes that we have here, and again, please follow Rise Above Justice Movement, Necessary Means, Smitten Kitten. You can find them on all the socials. You can find them online. And we're also going to be sending out their information so you can connect with them, and in turn, connect with the activities they do and the organizations and charities and people that they support. So, Anne, to finish with you, what could people do to help in where they live? You know, they're not anywhere near you. What can they do?
Yeah. My motto this entire time has been, no one is coming to help you. And if you want something to get done, you have to go do it. You must go do it. Don't wait for someone else. There's not a sign-up sheet. You just got to show up. We've had so many people come through and be like, how do I help? And I'm like, do you know your neighbors? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because those are the people who are there for you immediately when shit hits the fan. So, and also like reiterating what you guys said, like this shit has happened hundreds of thousands of times in different flavors throughout the entire history of the United States. So doing our little readings, looking at people like Black Panthers and Young Lords, or like sex worker outreach project. Someone was mentioning Miriam Kava earlier. Not only is it super informative and helpful to like see that this has been done before, but it also gives you the strength and the realization of like, this is how we've made it this far. And it is so important to listen and be informed on those things, and listen to our Black and brown friends and Indigenous friends who have so much more capacity to do this type of work than all these white people in Minneapolis who just saw someone be murdered on TV for the first time. There's so many people that come through here that are like, oh my God, I can't believe there's no justice. And I'm like, really? Because this is how it's been for everybody else. So everybody has a moment. I'm not trying to like shit on people, you know, everyone's going through a lot, but it's been our time to clock in for like 400 years. So listen to the people that have been doing this and get to know your neighbors, you know, even if you're in a spot where you think that you might not be affected by these things, how can you and the people around you make it easier for someone else? Like, I'll try not to go too long, but during the uprising after George Floyd's murder, we noticed all of these donations going to really affluent neighborhoods and they were overflowing. So we would just take a van and fill it up and go to the most like dire need neighborhoods and just distribute all of those things all summer long. And people showed up every single day. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean you can't go to it. And you should get to know everyone in your community, you know, they're human beings just like you. So that is my TED Talk.
That's you all could give each of you a TED Talk. DeRay, Kevin, and Zachary, y'all be getting more invitations from me to ask you more questions in a longer form. And again, if you go to hit the QR code or go to CatLadiesForAmerica.com, there's already some initial contacts to all these organizations, and we're going to be sending out more if you sign up for Action Cats, or if you just go to our website, it's all going to be there, because we want you to get involved and to do things, not just listen to people, although listening to people is really cool and fun. And so I'm going to say goodbye to this panel. Thank you guys so much. I cannot thank you enough. And kick it back over to Gemma for a little information and a little fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Blair, and our panel of experts. Thank you for all the meaningful, impactful work you're doing in your communities and for sharing with all of us. Okay, I saw a comment in the chat that said, is there a Cat Ladies group to donate to? Oh my goodness, you asked at the right time, because we would love to remind everyone to support our work. Cat Ladies for America is run entirely by volunteers, caffeine and rage. But the basic tools that we use to organize and take action, it costs money, right? We're just talking about that. So for those who are able, we are so grateful to accept donations to support our work. And at the Cat Beret, I love to say we have a rhinestone tip jar. That's a churu bucket for our cat people. You can give a $1, a $5, a $10, a $20, $50, $100 bill, but every little bit counts. So even if it's just a few bucks. But if you're also interested in something fun for you to take home, you could also support by buying exclusive Cat-Lady-Palooza merch with our sweet logo designed by the Cat Lady famous Kilkenny cat art. Go to CatLadiesForAmerica.com to learn more, donate, and shop our merch. Okay, kitty cats, are you ready for a little fun? Next up is Grief Cat, a musical comedy duo known for their sharp wit, great songs, and perfectly catty sense of humor. So let's take it away.
I took a dump at work. I pooped on the company dime. I took a dump at work. I do it all the time. The boss man takes my freedom man. Creativity. The least he can do is when I poo. Pay me when I take a dump at work. No one knows where I am. I take a dump at work. It's how I stick it to the man. The billionaires, they don't really care. They just see their bottom line. They pay my bills, so it's a little thrill to take my bottom time. So take a dump at work, poop on the company dime. And do your part for the revolution. One poop at a time. The working class will rise again. We'll get what we deserve. But until that day, comrade, collect your pay and poop
All right. Put your paws together in the chat for Grief Cat. Up next, it's time for another panel. This is going to be our ICE panel. And I'm very thrilled to introduce our panel of meowsing experts. We have Ava Lopez Chavez, candidate for U.S. Congress in Utah. We've got Bree Gorosky, co-founder of Project Saltbox, and Ethan Wechteluk, candidate for U.S. Congress in Maryland. So let's put our paws together for this next panel and pass it over to Blair.
Thank you, Gemma. All right, let us bring Ethan and Bree and Ava to the stage, our wonderful panel. There is Bree of Project Saltbox. There's Ethan, who came dressed for the occasion, a cat daddy, who I know from personal experience, a cat daddy. And I think Ava is having a little bit of a tech issue, so we will bring her up when she arrives. Folks, I will tell you straight up, I know Bree and I know Ethan, and I have interviewed them both, and we all live in Maryland. So I'm going to be extra sassy in this one. So guys, let's talk first, Bree and Ethan, and you guys, I know you guys know, the phrase a mile wide and an inch deep. You are a mile wide and a mile deep. This is an opening discussion to get people sort of interested into learning more. But what is the state? Both of you have been working on the ICE warehouse and detention center issues, both in Maryland, but also around the country, especially in Bree's case. What is the current state, Bree, of where things stand with the ICE warehouses? And then we will talk a bit about what's going on in detention centers that are already existing, that are a little different, that already exist.
So currently the one in Maryland, the judge just placed a preliminary injunction on it. And I believe that they can only do like little ancillary.
Ancillary?
Thank you. I'm glitching. Work on it, like cameras, lights. I think the security thing outside too. But other than that, yeah, they can't do any more work on it until the environmental review is finished. And based off of everything that they found before that they had to kind of forge, I don't think they're going to end up passing that. So technically I consider the warehouse like permanently shut down, but yeah.
Fingers crossed. And Project Saltbox, and you guys have been on Maddow, and you've been featured a lot of different places for all your research and document-based activism. What I believe also you started when they gave, I think, all of 3 or 4 days notice for a comment period that's supposed to be like 30 days long. You guys helped start a petition and get that out. And so these little actions that people take and that we'll be mentioning to you like after this event, they mean something, right? That's part of what went into the record of that court case, as I recall.
Yeah.
Ethan, is that your experience now with where the warehouses stand? Because you're a candidate for Congress in the 6th district of Maryland, and a cat daddy. So if you live in the 6th district of Maryland, I mean, that's green flags all the way. We all know that. So, but also if you are, but you're also one of the lead researchers for Hagerstown Rapid Response that has been working in tandem with Saltbox, but also with other organizations throughout the state and the country. And so is that also your understanding of where the warehouse issue stands in Maryland, and does that affect things nationwide?
Yeah, I think, and I've said this before, what's going on here in Maryland is really an opportunity for a blueprint across the rest of the country and how to fight back. And we're learning from other states, what's happened down in the social circles. Georgia is another prime example of how they fought back. So I think every community is kind of finding their voice. I'm going to go right here. Yeah. What are 2 ways that people have been fighting back that you think made a difference? I think it's environmental and utilities, infrastructure, right? And that's how people.
What about environmental and utilities and infrastructure? What do people do?
So an instance here in Williamsport, it's looking at the surrounding environment, the streams. It flows. Semple Run flows into the Conache. That one.
There's a body of water in Maryland that it's very hard to say. Yes. Exactly. I'm not going to try to correct you.
Yeah, and then there's endangered species or protected species in the area, right? And so there's concerns about that, and the federal government's required to do a review. The other thing is the infrastructure, right? It's a big warehouse that's built, but it's only set to have like 4 toilets, right? And not house 1,500 people. It's set for like, I think, max 50 workers. And so they're talking about 1,500 to 2,000 detainees plus up to 1,000 staff members. That's a lot of waste that's being generated. So then the utilities don't have it, the water coming in doesn't have it, and so some like that's what happened down in Georgia, and in other places they're cutting off water access or saying, well, you don't have the capacity to do it. And I think that's part of what's going on here in Maryland is they just can't handle all that waste. We just talked about doing your business on company time, but you can't because that waste has
Who
nowhere
knew?
to go.
Who knew that was the perfect segue? But here we are, something unconsciously. Bree, just to kind of round out what Ethan is saying, when we had what I understand from the issues that came up, it was convincing people who live in the area that this wasn't going to be something that was just apart and away from them that they could ignore. It was going to impact their own water service. It was going to impact how expensive water and other tax increases if they had to, if the municipality had to do new plumbing, new pipes, new etc., new infrastructure, and it was going to affect things like public health because they do not have, real medical staff of any kind at these places, and so they wind up going to the emergency room. I think there's only one hospital in the area. Is that right? Are these the things that kind of convince people to get in sometimes?
Yeah, I think so. When Ethan was out there cruising around looking at what was going on, you could see in the same picture, someone's family house was directly across the street from the warehouse. So you would literally walk out of your front door and just see concentration camp. Who wants that? That's going to decrease the value of your property as well. Everyone's in a spot now where it's hard to buy a house in general. So it really impacts a lot of people's lives in ways that they don't really think that it would. There's nobody out there that could say, well, it doesn't impact my life. I don't care. Like, what does that have to do with me? Every single aspect of your life is going to be impacted by this warehouse. And I think that's really important for people to grasp. Another thing that would really go up in cost, and Washington County even said this to their own residents, hey, we're going to have to start charging more for 911 services. And then you see the job listings because they already don't have enough people to work there. And they're throwing $10,000 bonuses onto these jobs. Well, who's going to pay that? The taxpayer, the people that live in the town. And then recently their meeting minutes came out, and ICE had plotted to send people that needed medical care from this detention center all the way up to Pennsylvania. So they're well aware that they can't support that in that town around that. And that's just going to cost way more money because it was Tremont, Pennsylvania, I think.
Yeah. And it's just, it's just everything that they're going to have to do is going to directly impact the taxes, the infrastructure, everything, and of course, be a freaking concentration camp in your hometown. So, if you weren't sold by that alone, know how urgent for it is for your day-to-day life. And then in the little bit of time that we have here, I wanted to get at 2 things. One thing that each of you think that normal people who aren't digging into the documents every day of the weird federal government like purchase orders and stuff, what do most people not know the government is doing that is sketchy as fuck? And the final question is, what can average people do to get involved in ways like you guys did? So, Bree, what is something that is just sketchy as hell that most people don't know that the government's doing vis-a-vis these ICE warehouses?
Okay, so a lot of it is sketchy, but if you wanted me to pick like a trend, I'm noticing that they're spending a lot of money on things that seem really dumb. Like, you're not giving people legal help. Why are you spending millions on this contract for legal help? Where's the money going? So that's one of the things that we've been trying to look into are the LLCs behind these contracts. And a lot of them have ties to Tom Homan. A lot of them are notorious for just being scumbags since Hurricane Katrina. So I think actually that's the big thing that people don't really know. And I've been trying to look through and figure out how to put that out there. But it just unravels into so much. I know, right? Now you guys know, but
we'll start here.
Yeah, exactly. Like these, what are they? These rapid deployment companies, these immediate setups, emergency response things. They've been around since the early 2000s. This is not new. They have
it's now impacting people in a visible way, and so now we're seeing it.
And one of the staffing firms that was created that they were using to hire people, when you looked up the staffing firm, this registered to this guy's personal house.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's
you could
just
look it
a
up and go on-
dude.
It's just a dude and his wife, and you could go like they're at it. Like I looked at their house on Zillow. It's not a bad looking house, right? But you're a scumbag because now you're hiring people to staff a
And also,
concentration camp.
what do they know? What they've never had a federal contract for.
They've never
How
had a
do they
federal
know?
contract.
They don't know how to staff this stuff. It's just like some dude, a guy, another dude knew, which is the history of Western civilization, but also things that people should know how things are working here.
100%.
And then we've got about 4 minutes left here, and I just wanted to touch on, knowing this is the start of the conversation, people should follow Ethan and Bree independently, but also at Project Saltbox to keep up on the kinds of things they're uncovering all the time. They both are on Substack and Instagram and everywhere else, and have websites, of course. And obviously, Ethan is running for Congress, but we're here more to talk about the ICE impact and the ICE knowledge that you two bring. What can average people do to help, expose things or to help slow down the works when it comes to ICE trying to build a warehouse detention center or keep an existing detention up to snuff in their neck of the woods?
It's keep talking about it. Honestly, that's the number one thing. ICE is expecting that people will stop paying attention, right? They're hoping this injunction.
Look in
no one's
Minneapolis, we just saw Ann talk about the spotlight's gone, and now their people are worse off because they're in dire straits and they don't have donations.
Yeah. So when you see something on socials, share it, right? Keep sharing it. Keep talking about it. Go stand in your
Be
street
annoying.
corner with a megaphone and yell if you have to, right? Like whatever it takes, but they want you to stop talking about this. They want you to look away so then they can turn around and do whatever they want. So the more you keep talking about it, the more you keep speaking up. And honestly, like you can do that from your house. Again, see it on Facebook, reshare it, right? Chain emails, right? We go back to the 90s and the chain emails, right? Just talk about it constantly.
Sorry,
and then
that
that
hit
keeps the
home for
spotlight,
me.
that keeps the pressure on.
What about you, Bree? I mean, can people dive in and start looking at documents? I mean,
Yeah, one thing that we've discovered through doing all of this and emails that people send us, they say, hey, I didn't know I knew so much about permits, but you guys made me realize that I should Google more permits. So if you're in Arizona or Michigan or wherever, just start reading your permits. One thing that we haven't really talked about is we almost quit. Like Project Saltbox came because it was me and Michael sitting in our houses talking online, and we were trying to reach out to so many reporters and say, look, we found these documents. You need to listen to us. And no one was taking it seriously. We sounded like crackpots with like a conspiracy theory, which is fair.
And the cat ears do look a little bit like tinfoil hats. So
Exactly.
yeah, the most adorable kind.
No, exactly. And so after all of the reporters ghosted us, I said to Michael, screw it, start a Substack. Like, I can't keep this in. I don't know where else to go with it. Anybody can do that. I literally just sit in my house on my computer angry, and now we have this big platform that people actually care about.
And it's people that like you realizing like, oh, I was in real estate appraisal. I actually do know about water runoff. And these are words I've learned from talking to you guys and reading your stuff over the last few months. I do know, oh, I was a plumber, or I kept the HVAC running at this big, building. I actually know about what you need to keep something warm in the winter that's big, right? I mean, those kinds of, you do not have to have government, what you consider normally as like deep government experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, and like even if you've worked somewhere or you just read a weird article about it 3 years ago and it popped into your head, or if your neighbor works somewhere and then the whole workings of the company that we're trying to investigate. So people, I think they need to realize they know more than they actually think they know.
Okay, we got 1 minute. Each of you get 30 seconds. One quick thing that people should go look at right now, whether it's a website or something, and you're not allowed to say your own, so or each other's. So, like, or something people should read about, or an organization within the government that does more that they don't realize. Anything along those lines. Hit me with whatever you got.
Do you want something positive?
No, it doesn't have to be.
Okay, because
I mean, sure, if you have it. I wasn't expecting that from you, Bree, quite frankly.
I don't have it. No.
Okay, I didn't think so. That's why I wasn't asking it. But what is something that you're like, people don't know about the XYZ agency and they should know. But you don't have to tell them
Palantir.
everything. Palantir. Okay.
Don't stop talking about Palantir. Don't stop talking about Alex Karp. Keep the pressure on them. Palantir is probably the most insidious corporation in the world right now. And they are everywhere in our federal government. They are everywhere from the civilian infrastructure to the intelligence infrastructure to the defense infrastructure. They are the mechanism behind what ICE is doing. They're the mechanism behind what the FBI is doing, what the CIA is doing. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And then there's Palantir alums that start their own companies that do the same stuff, right? So don't stop criticizing. Don't stop keeping the pressure on Palantir. Alex Karp wants to harm everyone who disagrees with them, and he can't do it all if we all band together.
All right, well, that's our minute, and I'm sure Bree's nodding along, so we're going to count that one for you too, Bree. All right, so follow Ethan, follow Bree Garosco on Instagram, as well as Project Saltbox, and also both of them on Substack. You can see all that if you hit the QR code. Just go to CATLadiesForAmerica.com. You can see that, and also it'll be in our upcoming emails as well. We've already done some action items with our Action Cats with both of these organizations, but we're going to be doing that again in the future. So thank you, guys. I will see you in Maryland, hopefully sometime soon, somewhere around the block.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'll kick it over back to Gemma.
Thanks, Blair, and thank you to Ethan and Bree for sharing your insights. It's just a friendly reminder at this time that we're going to be sending you in the coming days action items and ideas, some national and some local, including those inspired by suggestions from tonight's speakers. I know there's so many, so if you're at home taking notes, don't worry, we got you. You can sign up for free for the Cat Ladies Action Cat List at the QR code on your screen or at CATLadiesForAmerica.com. And again, we also want to strongly encourage you to follow the speakers here tonight, their organizations, and their calls to action. And links to all their socials are at CATLadiesForAmerica.com. And stay tuned for the email after the event. All righty, kitty cats, we have one more panel, and this one is all about cattiness, okay? So please put your paws together and welcome to your screen Amanda McGonigal, founder of Cats on a Couch. We've got Robbie Roadsteamer, musical comedy Resistance Giraffe. We've got Comrade Tripp, Minneapolis comedian and host of the Performative Mayor Contest. And lastly, Louisa, you saw her before. She's half of the social commentary infused musical comedy duo Grief Cat. So take it away, Blair.
I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to this. Let's bring our panelists up. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I am excited. For those of you who don't know, I am a comedian. I felt a lot more like a comedian about a year and a half ago. It's been a little busy. And so I know some of these people from that world. And then I know my other friends here from social media world. And it's wonderful to have you all here. This is a great end to our National Cat Lady Day. And I'm just going to go around the bend here and ask each of you, how do you describe your cattiness, how you use your cattiness for good, and how did it start? Robbie, I'm going to start with you. How'd you get started? What do you do?
I mean, I basically love professional wrestling and singing hit songs. So when I saw that ICE were, tearing it up at detention centers, I thought I could combine both. And all of a sudden, man, wow, I feel like the new Tim Chalamet, the new voice of a generation with folk music. But, a lot of artists, they can take a cue. And, we got 5 billion musicians battling it out on Bandcamp every day, trying to throw their link on you on a DM. Come out to the protests. This is where the art is needed. Put on a onesie and sing a goddamn waltz.
That's right. Who could say it better than that? Comrade, who I have had the pleasure of performing in real life in Minneapolis with back in the day. Comrade Tripp, how do you describe what you do and how you use your cattiness for good?
I never watched professional wrestling. I've never felt strong. I take a lot of naps.
Okay.
And I just don't want to die. I live here in Minneapolis and I don't want to die. So I make jokes about wanting to live and stuff. Is that a good answer?
That's you always give a perfect answer. So yes, it's more than good enough. It's perfect. And so my friend Louisa from Grief Cat, we just saw Take a Dump at Work about late state capitalism. how did you guys? How'd you start doing what you do, and how do you use your cattiness for good?
So we kind of fell into the cattiness thing. We really like to troll.
Or born with it? Were you born with it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe
okay.
she's born with it. Maybe it's cattiness.
Right.
So we just really like to kind of troll everything that's dumb, and nothing is dumber than shitty billionaires.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's a big part of what we do. Annie is not here with us today, but she says hello, and I think she would agree with me in that statement.
Oh, I know she would. And then if we could go to Amanda, and this is, I mean, perfect. Thank you so much. I know a lot of our members are so excited to see you here, especially on National Cat Lady Day. I have a pretty solid idea of the answer to this question. I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sure.
Hey, Amanda, how did you get started, and how do you use your cattiness for good?
Great question. I got started after comments by the Vice President of the United States surfaced saying that the country was being run by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are so miserable in their own lives that they wanted everyone else to be miserable too. And I'm not a childless cat lady. I do have 2 kids, but I'm a childless cat lady ally, and I have cats. And so that man is generally unlikable, and I'm petty as hell. Right? I mean, Robbie's from Massachusetts too, so it's kind of, it's in the water.
This is a whole
It's in the
national
water.
thing happening.
Yeah.
That's
It's in the water.
We should not
It's
have
what
put
we're
this
good
together.
at. Yeah, it's what we're good at. And so so that's how it started in August of 2024. And how we use that pettiness and cattiness for good. Honestly, it's just the entire petty bestie community, as they call themselves. It's community led and community driven. So people send us mutual aid ideas, or whatever it might be. I'm very much, this is not my job. I have a full-time job, and so this is like an extra thing. And so, and it's also a gift, right? And so I feel inclined to be able to use it for good, right? Like, what does that even mean if we don't? So
And just to remind everyone again who's listening, after this, not just one day after this, but in the weeks, days, months after this, we're going to be taking a lot of these ideas from the people you're seeing on these panels tonight, and either pushing out the message about something they're already doing, or maybe help you do something similar in your very local community. And so talking about using your strengths for good, that's kind of what this whole shenanigans is about in the end. And I know that Amanda and everybody here has done either mutual aid or other ways to amplify the people doing that aid, or other protests or legal rights supporting on all of their platforms. That's so part and parcel to everything that we're doing here. And so have you, Louise, I'll go to you first. Have you had an experience where you saw your sort of your whether you call it cattiness or whatever it is, your commentary, like, make a difference, even if it's really small in real life, or even online? It might not have been a positive reaction, but have you seen something you've done or put out there make a little bit of difference to somebody?
I think the big way that we make a difference is that I think people feel heard, and they feel like a little bit of catharsis, because everything right now is just so fucking dumb. It's
Right.
Everything is awful. and I think having a moment where people can just see the absurdity of all of it and just like feel a little bit of like release and laughter, I think that makes a really huge difference for people to feel seen. And I think that we're also able to bring that kind of into the streets a little bit. We're able to have shows, we're able to play benefits, we're able to make people not lose hope in a really dark time. And I think that's kind of where we, bring a little bit of help when it comes to like satire. And
It's easier for regular people to speak up, right? If they see like, oh, there's all these people online who think the same way I do, it's okay for me to speak up, is kind of how I see it too. What you do. And Comrade, what about you? It's something that maybe you've seen a little bit of difference, or it's moved the needle in even a little way. I know you just had an event with Smitten Kitten, I think a week ago.
Yeah, shout out Anne. Yeah, I think if we make a difference, most of the time I get a lot of like mean DMs. I love the mean DMs. People say that they hate my content so much that they're deleting Instagram, which is a net good If you think about, they're free from the
It's a win.
system. They have the performative mayor contest as well. Just got people outside in poor weather. Nonetheless, yeah.
Well, you guys are good at that up there, in fairness. And that was a big hit. I saw some of the video. And getting people off social media who are trolls is God's work. And then Amanda, some of the things that maybe you've seen, and whether it's the work you do or how that inspires your community, that's made a difference.
Sure, yeah. So one of the things, the John Lewis quote, get into good trouble and necessary trouble. I feel like I live by that every day. Like I want to fulfill that every day. And so one of the things that we started early on, like this little community, was petty side quests. And sometimes those petty side quests would be going and filling out Heritage Foundation event RSVPs so that no one would show up. One of those things was scooping up all the tickets to Nancy Mace's town hall so that only 8 people showed up and she canceled it. Like little things that don't seem that big, right? But then I have people in my DMs that are like, I want you to know, after all of like our little good trouble, I had the courage to go to my first protest today, or I had the courage to call my rep today. So it's like these little incremental things that don't seem like a lot, and it seems like just petty bullshit, but genuinely, like, it leads to good, meaningful trouble. So I think just empowering people, right? No matter how silly it sounds, empowering people with these petty little things that, like, I don't know, boosts their confidence to continue showing up in solidarity has been like one of the amazing things that I've seen with this community.
Excuse me. And it helps them find their voice. It's, like it finds their sea legs in this weird world. And also when you're gumming up the works of a Nancy Mace event, if you're getting people trolls off, Instagram, whatever that might be, first of all, you're showing that these are not all powerful Oz people. These are, they're hollow. They're not like some magnificent Uber being. And frankly, when you make fun of people, it shows, like, it reveals their flaws. When you just, in a very obvious way, it's like, dude's weird. Dude's weird. That's it.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. And then Robbie, what about you? You've been out there on the ground a lot. And what have you seen come the good from what you're doing?
Oh, it's night and day. It's like being a rock star out there. I was in Minneapolis a weekend ago. Got a lot of men in giraffe onesies, and we are re-romanticizing the scene by... I'll stop being the wrestler for a second.
You be whatever you want to be, Robbie.
Basically what it is we bring that comedy and humor to the absurdity that's already MAGA. And whether you got the Portland Frogs, whether you got me doing the giraffe stuff, whether you have 9,000 dildos last week going across the country.
I hope they bought those at Smitten Kitten. I hope they bought them at Smitten Kitten.
The original ones were from like a discount.
Oh, we lost you there for Amanda for a second. But anyway, sorry, Robbie, to interrupt you.
Yeah, so basically it's something where, we're trying to distract MAGA's absurdity with our own absurdity. In doing so, it allows our wonderful candidates, people of valor, activists to be a little less distracted by the absurdity of the MAGA attacks. A great example was the State of the Union. There was a counter, State of the Swamp, that Amanda... What's that? What?
I think Amanda's having some tech difficulty and just mute her thing for a second. Sorry.
Oh, right on. Yeah, it was like at State of the Swamp. We went up against the State of the Union and pretty much had matching ratings to what Trump had. And we were using absurdity. And then on the Fox News afterwards, instead of going after the candidates we had on, Stacey Abrams, etc., they went after us. They went after the frogs. They went after the giraffe. They went after the absurdity. And I think that's a large part to it is let's distract this monster truck wrestling fan base of MAGA with something just equally as lunatic. And that's why, I do the character. I put on the sunglasses. Let's storm Applebee's. Hell yeah. We're going to retake MAGA. We're going to sign 4,000 executive orders the first day. And we're going to reverse the tides. $29 minimum wage. Women's rights forever. Let's make the myths. And, we just keep them distracted.
And it works. It works. But Conrad, yes, you're up.
Back to the dildos. Amanda was saying, I've spoken with Smitten Kitten, and just to let you know, the dildos at Smitten Kitten are of a much higher quality as the ones at local buildings. So yeah, that's like the bottom of the barrel, and then Smitten Kitten is the top of.
We're not wasting good dildos on
No,
bad
they
people.
don't deserve the good dildos.
Right. No, we're setting the bad dildos for bad people. In fact, if Smitten Kitten would like to use that tagline, work on that, you can have that one. It's okay. What's a dream scenario outcome? What's something that you'd like to try to pull off that you haven't done yet? Maybe I'll start with you, Amanda.
Like with my account or just broader,
well,
civilization wise?
You can take that however you want. I guess I was
sure,
however you like, but I was thinking sort of something that you'd love to help make happen.
Yeah. Thinking realistically, right? And I touched on a little bit about the good trouble. White women dropped the ball last election. Historically, we always have. And I'm hoping that this 4 years of nurturing that community specifically, like my online community is majority women. It's like 81% women. Continuing to educate that community, continuing to expose people to like different perspectives, and continuing to empower people to get into good trouble for the sake of saving democracy. By the time the midterms roll around and the next election rolls around, people are empowered to get involved. People are empowered to run for local office. And then outside of that, like I've been in Minnesota a few times doing mutual aid, and one of the places that I connected with there, and we can speak more about it later, or I can, people can find out about it on my page, but was Open Market. And the way that they show up for their community and have for years, like it's not new, what they're doing. I want to be able to help people realize that what Open Market is doing for their neighbors in Minnesota is possible to be done everywhere. Just taking care of each other in solidarity and in community. And so being able to use my platform to promote something like that would make my heart happy.
No, that's fantastic. Louisa, maybe there's something you guys tour a lot that you've seen in the last year that has opened your eyes as the audiences have changed, the vibes have changed at the shows a little bit, maybe. What have you seen on the road that you wish people knew a little bit more about?
I think people are tired. People are very tired. We also just went to a tour in the UK, and so you kind of have to go out and just like apologize, like, not my president. And so we're seeing quite a bit of that as we go around. So we're again just trying to do what we can to kind of keep people's spirits up and laugh at people who should be jokes.
Comrade, do you have any ideas for whether it's hijinks or helping in your community, or a way of merging those together that you'd love to help make happen in the next however long?
I'd like to make more elected officials cry. I want them to cry as much as I do. I'd like them to show some form of empathy and just more money for people that need money. I want to learn how to do a backflip. I don't know if that's part of anything, but I'd like to be able to work on my athleticism. I want to be more catty in that way.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, and we don't have a lot of time for that right now, a lot of us, because you're doing a lot of other work. But I think that your point about making elected officials cry, I think you mean that literally, but also I think you mean in the way like you need them to feel the pain and to show they understand the pain of the people who they supposedly represent. Is that
I'd like them to
accurate?
be people. Yeah.
Yeah, like them to be real people. And Robbie, what is there something that you'd like to try to pull off, or you might tell us in our last couple of minutes that we have here, just some of the experiences of how their attack on absurdity. I mean, you've been arrested a couple of times now. Has actually, it seems like a bad thing for you, but maybe it's actually undermined them.
Yeah, I mean, we just announced our $1 million lawsuit against ICE Friday in Minneapolis with my lawyer, Tim Phillips, Hennepin County sheriffs who arrested me at the last ICE rally, anti-ICE rally I did in January. We did a lawsuit last week against them. That's state, so it'll be much quicker. On the federal level, we have to wait 6 months. What I hope to continue to see out there, quite honestly, is the community and the festival style attitude that's coming together. Yes, let's hate ICE, let's hate MAGA, but one of the most endearing parts of this has been watching Gen Zers, Gen Xers, millennials, people coming together, boomers that thought they were getting into another, let's blow up a bunch of cars, let's block streets, which wear a lot of V for Vendetta masks, which is fine, just not everybody wearing them and stuff. And I think what they're coming into now is more of a spirit of Haight-Ashbury, the yippies, and progression. And that's what I would be most excited to see as this continues over the couple of years, is a lot of organizations, it's almost like a Fight Club. It's on the tip of everybody's tongues that this is becoming almost like the new Grateful Dead parking lot, whether it's Flair in Washington, the Portland Frogs, where they're feeding people every day with vegan mac and cheese and cornbread and giving out onesies. Minneapolis, where last weekend we had the first Fuck Ice Festival that was in 10 cities and whatnot. We had about 300 to 400 people over at the DJ booth. And you don't necessarily have to be on the front lines, especially if you're anxious and insecure, doing your thing. We have a lot of people for that. But come, find your voice and find your people. And hopefully by the time the DNC gets its shit together, 2028, maybe a lot of these organizations putting in the work, like I'm saying, Flair, 5051, Indivisible, Unfuck America, Defiance.org, Cat Ladies for America, all these coming together in a groundswell that will basically set the barometer of where this culture should be going. We've been playing defense and fighting to stay sane for too long. It's time to get on progression and realizing dreams. I know that's pie in the sky, but that's what I'm seeing starting to develop, going from 50 people at the first 50-51 rally in February of last year to hundreds of thousands in Boston, just in 1 year. It's growing. It's getting fabulous. Join the party.
Yeah, we're in the pie in the sky building business right now, and that's why we have all these little cat lady chapters all over. Usually what we're doing is we're going with bigger organizations who have a lot to do and say, and we're just pitching in and helping spread the word. And we're not creating all our own events. We're trying to get everybody to go into the big pie, right? And I think so. That's what gives you joy, what makes you laugh, what makes you smile. I'm going to ask the other three then quickly before we end, starting with you, comrade. Where do you go to look at something when you want to laugh or smile? Just it could be a name or something more.
I don't know. I go to local comedy open mics here in Minneapolis. I see my community. I put the burden of my own entertainment back on my community.
That's good. And that's one hell of a comedy community. So an open mic there is like a pro show somewhere else. And then Louisa, where do you go? What do you watch? Who do you listen to when you want a little joy, a little laugh, whatever it is?
Honestly, I follow Alex Perlman on Instagram, and he cracks me up every single time.
Also from DC.
He's the best. I love him. But yeah, I literally just open up the internet and just laugh at everybody. It's great.
And then to close us out, Amanda, who are you listening to? Where do you go to have a laugh or, find some joy?
My DMs. Honestly, a lot of, and it's so funny because I've talked to a lot of friends in the space and their DMs are a very toxic place.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what I did, but my DMs are a joy. It's cat pics. It's people being super sweet. Or people sending me shit talking about JD Vance. Like, my DMs are the best place to be. You guys are invited anytime.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, everybody. And I have to tell you too, I don't have a lot of problems, but whatever. Yes. It's the cat thing. It's the cat thing.
The cat ladies
Guys,
are not
and these
problematic. I need people to realize this.
And we got cat people all up here. We're all up in this cat things. We have a video we're supposed to run before. It shows everybody's cats, and we'll play it after the thing. We put them all in a montage. You can see it online. So guys, I cannot thank you enough. And as a reminder to everyone, but we're not quite done yet. But as a reminder to everyone, we're going to be you can go to our website, CatLadiesForAmerica.com. You can hit that QR code. You can find basic social media links for all these folks here already. But we're going to be gathering these ideas, either forwarding things they are already working on, or using their ideas of what people should be looking at in their communities to do, and forwarding those out over the next days and weeks and months. So you can join Action Cat, and we will do that. But also you should follow all of these people where they live on social media, or get on their email lists, so that they are not beholden to the algorithm. That even someone as big as the followings, all these folks have 6-figure or 7-figure followings here, they still get throttled by the algorithm. So join them directly, join their email lists, or other ways that you can get with them directly without the go-between of social media. And Robbie, you look like you got something to say.
No. I'm just taking it all in. I didn't know the numbers. Somewhere in 7 figures. Holy cannoli.
We're very up on all our cat influencers. So anyway, so please follow them and take their advice and see what they are working on. This is a dream panel for me. I'm going to reassemble this panel, and it's going to be just a telethon, and we're just going to go. Maybe we'll get some frogs in here, or I couldn't book the frogs. They're busy. But get everybody. This is just a joy for me, and I cannot thank you guys enough for starting this. This is not the first and last thing. This is just the one step in everything we're going to be doing. So thank you so much. And if everybody wants to stay tuned, Robbie is going to be taking us out in a few minutes, but with the sort of big finish song. But before we do that, we have a little. We're going to say goodbye to our panelists. Goodbye, Louisa and Comrade. And Amanda, thank you so much. It's been delightful. And we are going to announce the winners if we can bring Gemma back up here for a second. And, we had a cat fashion show picture contest. And the winner of this contest, voting on adorable cat pictures, basically we wanted to see cat pictures of cats in outfits, and for our own joy. But the person who wins, or the cat, will win for their person a nice gift bag full of Cat-Lady-Palooza stuff and merch like this. My Chunky Cat Eats Fascist, by the way, you can see that on our website. And I own a lot of it. And so can we have, Stephanie, can we have the finalists, the 9 finalists? These were our top 9 vote getters. So everyone just absorb on National Cat Lady Day. We've got Ollie and Weenie and Popcorn and Whimsy. These names are fantastic. And then another Weenie, and then, of course, and
So
then
cute.
Mimi, because you can't have one Weenie. This is a 2 Weenie party. It sounds like the dildo thing. Okay. And then Phoenix and Bocelli Cleefel, this is a very fancy name, and then Vader the Cat. So do you have any favorites before we reveal the next round, the semifinalists?
I think I like Weenie number 1 with the bow tie.
Weenie number 1, formal. You like a formal weenie.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, can we see our semifinalists, please? Oh, look, your favorite is in there. Now, Gemma did not know the outcome of this before voting. So we've got Ollie, which, by the way, great name for a cat. These are all great names. Vader the Cat, Fancy Weenie, and Bocelli Cleefel. And now we're going to reveal the big winner of the big bag of merch from Cat Ladies for America and Cat-Lady-Palooza, who is the winner of our first ever cat photo contest. Oh my God, it's Bocelli Cleefel, name I can't say, from Beaumont, California. Yay. Welcome. Yay. Congratulations, Bocelli. We will be sending a gift bag of goodies to your mom, dad people, and they will get in touch with us through the people, by the way, big round of applause. There have been so many CAT captains, CAT chapter captains who have helped us with this. Kelly and Amber from Inland Empire, and Rachel from Minneapolis, and oh my God, my brain is freezing. Corey from Finger Lakes, and Stephanie, who's just been with us since literally our first fundraiser back in August 4th, 2024. And then Gemma, you are a dream. You are a dream of an MC, and your show. I saw your show, Cat Beret, in New York a month ago. The last time it was showing at Caveat, and like big thumbs up, 5 stars.
Oh, thank you so much.
And so I just want everybody to know this is our first ever Cat-Lady-Palooza. We're learning a lot from what we've done here tonight, both for future actions that we're going to take to help everybody else out and help us build a community, but also like what you guys want and what you want to see and what was helpful and what wasn't. So just, you can DM us, you can get with us at catladiesforamerica.com. You can join our action cat list. You can email us. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you wish would have been a little bit different. We couldn't hit every topic, but I'm announcing now, we're having Cat-Lady-Palooza on Sunday, September 13th. Just as we're leading into the midterms, we're going to be featuring different topics and panelists. So tell us what you'd like to see, what you'd like more of, what you'd like less of. You can say you want less of me. That is fine. I'm not the center of this thing. So if you want to get with us and to help us with this sort of thing in the future, get in contact with us. We'd love your help. And now it is my great honor and pleasure. I'm just making sure I hit all my notes here. Yes, I did. There you go. Oh, and by all means, merch. Yeah, everything costs money, but you don't have to give. But if you give, we don't get paid, but we will use it for things like Mobilize. And so, Gemma, we're now going to bring to the stage to take us out with a big finish, an original song by the one and only Robbie Roadsteamer. Take it away, Robbie.
Oh, hallelujah. Hell yeah. Cat-Lady-Palooza's in the can. Robbie Roadsteamer here. Let's have a big round of applause for Blair and Gemma, man, making this happen. Cat Ladies of America. This is just amazing. I'd like to do a song right now. I wrote this song 10 years ago when I was a heartless MAGA, a lonely boy up in Massachusetts, and I was a dick. And it was originally called I Put a Baby in You, because I didn't respect women. I was a lonely boy. But then I discovered cats. I discovered a beautiful Pasadena feeding cat named Red the cat, Red the sexual cat, beautiful tabby, long hind legs, strong kicking feet, and I fell in love, and I became progressive all through the love of this beautiful, magical kitty. And I rewrote my hit, and it's called I Put a Kitty in You. Oh, I put a kitty in you, 'cause you kept hating on brown people. So I put a kitty in you. Now you got something to do. Wash the kitty. Feed the kitty. Make sure the kitty's gonna be there for you and me. Oh, I put a kitty in you, 'cause you wanna hate on trans and gays. So I put a kitty in you, boo-hoo. Now the kitty's gonna have to be there every day. And you're gonna have to clean the poop box. Man, I love cleaning my cat's poops, man. Oh, they're like little tiny cigars. Kitty poop. Clean it up. I'm going to vote for AOC and progressive rights. I just threw that in. I'm like Weird Al. And we're going to ride it out. I put a kitty in you. I put a kitty in you. Solo. Thank you, thank you. God bless Cat-Ladies-Palooza. We're going to live forever. Let's storm Petco.
Oh my God, that's amazing. It was perfect. This is the perfect way to end our very first Cat Lady Palooza, not the last one. Cat Daddy, always a green flag. By the way, we do have t-shirts that I am going to send you one that says, what does it say? It says, Cat Daddies can get it. That's what it says. And you have earned more than earned yours. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Gemma. Thanks to Robbie. Bye, Robbie. And everybody is so busy, and everyone here took a lot of, took time out of their day at a time when they might be getting just a little bit of rest to be here tonight, including you guys who are watching. And I'm just going to say thank you so much. You know how to find us. We hope we'll see you again. Tell us what you'd like to see next time. And you'll be hearing this again on the Catty Chats podcast, slightly edited version of it, coming out everywhere in about a week. So thank you, everyone, and tell your friends about the next one. And good night. Claws out. Wow.